The bar on Caldro's station smelled like burnt metal and cheap alcohol. The lights were dim, and the air was thick with smoke from alien cigarettes. In the corner booth sat Krell, a massive reptilian creature with scales that glinted like black glass. His crew surrounded him, laughing and drinking as he told his latest story. "The humans begged," Krell said, his voice booming across the bar. "They actually got on their knees and begged me to spare their little ship." His crew erupted in laughter. "I told them I would think about it, then took everything they had anyway." At the bar, a human sat alone. Jack Morrison was a quiet man with gray streaks in his dark hair and scars running across his weathered face. He wore a simple jacket and kept his eyes on his drink. He didn't react to Krell's story. He just took another sip. Behind the bar, Vexthora wiped down glasses with her 4 arms. The insectoid bartender had run this place for 20 years. She had seen every kind of trouble the galaxy had to offer. Her compound eyes watched Krell carefully. "You should be careful, Krell," Vexthora clicked in her strange voice. "Humans are not as weak as you think." Krell slammed his fist on the table, making the drinks jump. "Weak? They are the weakest species in the galaxy. No armor plating, no natural weapons, no venom. Just soft pink skin and fear." His crew laughed again. One of his lieutenants, a thin creature with too many joints, leaned forward. "We caught another human ship last week. A colony vessel heading to the outer rim. 200 humans, all scared and crying." "What did you do with them?" another pirate asked. "They are sitting in our base right now," Krell said with a grin that showed all his teeth. "Waiting for their government to pay us. And they will pay. Humans always pay for their own." Jack finished his drink and set the glass down gently. The sound was soft, but in that moment, it seemed loud. He stood up slowly and reached for his jacket. "Leaving so soon, human?" Krell called out. "Did my story scare you?" Jack didn't turn around. He just walked toward the door with steady steps. The bar went quiet for a moment. "That is what I thought," Krell laughed. "Cowards, all of them." The door slid shut behind Jack. Vexthora watched him go, then looked back at Krell. Her mandibles clicked together nervously. "You don't understand," she said quietly. "What don't I understand, Bug?" Krell leaned back in his seat. "That humans are easy money. I understand that perfectly." Vexthora put down the glass she was holding. 20 years ago, a pirate gang called the Red Suns operated in this sector. They were the biggest, most feared group in the Outer Rim. 500 ships, thousands of fighters. "I heard of them," one of Krell's crew said. "They disappeared." "They didn't just disappear," Vexthora continued. "They made a mistake. They attacked a human research station. Killed 15 scientists. Took their data and equipment. They thought it was a good raid." Krell snorted. "So what happened?" "The humans cried about it." "The humans came," Vexthora said. Her voice was low and serious. "Not with one ship, not with 10. They came with a fleet. They hunted down every single Red Sun ship. It took them 3 months. They didn't stop. They didn't negotiate. They didn't accept surrender. When they were done, the Red Suns didn't exist anymore. Not one ship, not one pirate, nothing." The bar was silent now. Even Krell's crew had stopped laughing. "That's just a story," Krell said, but his voice had less confidence now. "It is history," Vexthora corrected him. "I was here. I served drinks to the Red Suns before they left on that raid. I never saw any of them again. The humans left a message buoy in space where the Red Sun's base used to be. It said 3 words, 'We protect ours.'" Krell stood up, his massive frame towering over the table. "Old stories don't scare me. The Red Suns were fools. I am not. I have fortified bases, hidden locations, and the best fighters in the sector." "The Red Suns said the same thing," Vexthora replied. Krell threw credits on the table and gestured to his crew. "Let's go. This place smells like fear." They walked out together, their heavy boots echoing on the metal floor. When they were gone, Vexthora looked at the empty seat where Jack had been sitting. She noticed he had left extra credits, more than the drink cost. Next to the credits was a small coin, old and worn. She picked it up and saw the symbol on it. Earth Defense Force. She closed her eyes and clicked her mandibles softly. "They never listen," she whispered to the empty bar. Outside the station, Krell's crew loaded into their transport ship. The colony vessel with 200 humans was waiting for them at their hidden base. They had sent the ransom demand to Earth 3 days ago. Soon, the money would come, and they would be rich. Krell sat in the captain's chair and smiled. Humans were easy prey. They always paid. They were too soft, too weak to fight back properly. This job would be simple, just like all the others. As his ship jumped into hyperspace, heading back to the hidden base in the Void Nebula, Krell had no idea that the distress signal had already reached Earth. He had no idea that fleets were already moving. He had no idea that he had just made the biggest mistake of his life. The galaxy was about to remind him why you should never make humans angry. The colony ship Horizon's Edge drifted silently through deep space. Inside, 200 colonists were preparing for their new life on a distant world. Children ran through the corridors, excited about the adventure ahead. Adults packed their belongings and talked about the fresh start waiting for them. Lisa Bennett stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars. She was the colonial administrator, responsible for everyone on this ship. She was a tall woman with kind eyes and strong hands. Next to her stood her nephew, Danny Foster, a young man barely 20 years old. "Aunt Lisa, how much longer until we reach the colony?" Danny asked. 3 more days, Lisa replied with a smile. "Then we start building our new home." The alarm shattered the peaceful moment. Red lights flashed across the bridge. The captain, an older man named George Harris, jumped to his console. "Multiple ships coming out of hyperspace," George said, his voice tight. "They're surrounding us." Lisa's heart sank. "Pirates?" "Yes." 6 heavy cruisers. "We can't outrun them, and we have no weapons." The communication screen flickered to life. Krell's reptilian face filled the display, his black scales gleaming under harsh lights. His smile showed rows of sharp teeth. "Human vessel, you are now property of Krell's fleet. Shut down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in the death of everyone on your ship." George looked at Lisa. She was the administrator, the leader. The decision was hers. Lisa thought about the children in the rec room. She thought about the families who had sold everything for a chance at a new life. She thought about Danny standing beside her, so young and full of hope. "We surrender," she said clearly. "Don't hurt anyone." Krell laughed. "Smart choice, human. I knew you would be reasonable." The boarding took an hour. Krell's pirates moved through the ship with weapons drawn, herding everyone into the cargo bay. Lisa made sure the children stayed calm. She held the hand of a crying little girl and told her everything would be okay, even though she wasn't sure it was true. When everyone was gathered, Krell entered the cargo bay. He was even bigger in person, nearly 8 feet tall and covered in thick scales. His crew flanked him, weapons ready. "Welcome to your new situation," Krell announced. "You are now my prisoners. Your Earth government will pay for your return, and until they do, you will stay in my base. Behave, and you will live. Cause trouble, and you will regret it." Lisa stepped forward. "These people have done nothing to you. Many of them are children. Please, treat them with dignity." Krell moved so fast that Lisa barely saw it. His massive hand grabbed her by the throat and lifted her off the ground. Danny shouted and tried to run forward, but 2 pirates grabbed him. "You don't make demands here, human," Krell hissed. His breath smelled like rotting meat. "I decide how you are treated. I decide if you live or die. Do you understand?" Lisa couldn't breathe, but she managed to nod. Krell dropped her, and she fell hard on the metal floor. Danny broke free from the guards and ran to her side. "Aunt Lisa, are you okay?" "I'm fine," she whispered, rubbing her throat. She looked up at Krell with steady eyes. "You should let us go while you still can." Krell backhanded her across the face. The blow sent her sprawling. Blood ran from her split lip. "Get them to the holding cells," Krell ordered his crew. "And if any of them speak again, break their fingers." The pirates forced the colonists onto transport ships. They were taken to Krell's hidden base deep in the Void Nebula, a place where sensors couldn't reach and rescue was nearly impossible. The base was a converted asteroid, dark and cold, with cells carved into the rock. Lisa and the others were pushed into large holding areas, 20 or 30 people to a room. The cells were barely big enough, with thin blankets and no heat. Children cried. Adults tried to comfort them. Everyone was scared. Danny sat next to Lisa in the corner of their cell. "What do we do now?" he asked. "We wait," Lisa said. "And we hope." "Hope for what?" Lisa touched the small bracelet on her wrist. It was a simple thing, made of silver with Earth's coordinates engraved on it. Every colonist wore one as a reminder of home. "Hope that someone heard our distress call," she said quietly. What Lisa didn't know was that George Harris, the captain, had managed to send a signal before the ship was boarded. It was a quick burst transmission, lasting only seconds, but it contained everything Earth needed to know. Location, situation, enemy numbers, and one critical piece of information: hostages in danger. That signal was racing through space faster than light, carried by quantum relays, jumping from station to station. In less than a day, it would reach Earth. In the cell, Lisa gathered the children around her. She told them stories about Earth, about green grass and blue oceans, about places where the sun was warm and the air smelled like flowers. She kept them distracted from the cold and the fear. Krell watched through security cameras from his command center. He saw the humans huddled together, trying to stay brave. It made him laugh. "Soft creatures," he said to his second-in-command. "In 3 days, Earth will send the money. 10 million credits for their safe return. Easy profit." "What if they don't pay?" his lieutenant asked. Krell shrugged. "Then we sell them as slaves or kill them. Either way, we win." He sent the ransom message to Earth with a video showing the prisoners. He demanded 10 million credits and safe passage out of the sector. He gave them 5 days to respond. In the holding cell, Lisa held Danny's hand. "They'll come for us," she whispered. "I know they will. How can you be sure?" Lisa looked at the ceiling, through the rock and metal, up toward the distant stars where Earth waited. "Because we're human. We don't leave our people behind. Ever." Above them, in the darkness of the Void Nebula, space was silent and still. But that silence would not last long. The message had been sent, the ransom demanded, and somewhere far away, Earth had received the call. The humans were coming, and they were not coming to negotiate. The Earth Defense Force headquarters sat deep beneath Geneva, protected by layers of concrete and steel. In the command center, hundreds of screens showed ships, stations, and settlements scattered across human space. Admiral Frank Cooper stood at the center of it all, a gray-haired man with sharp eyes and a voice that could cut through steel. The distress signal arrived at 0300 hours. A junior officer brought it directly to the Admiral's office. "Sir, we have a situation," the officer said, her voice urgent. "Colony ship Horizon's Edge has been captured by pirates. 200 civilians, including 40 children." Frank was awake instantly. He had been in the military for 40 years, and he knew that tone. "Show me everything." The data appeared on his screen. Location, enemy strength, ransom demand. He read it all in 30 seconds, his jaw tightening with each word. "Get me Captain Ryan Mitchell," Frank ordered. "And wake up the Colonial Response Team. I want everyone in the war room in 10 minutes." "Yes, sir." "What about the ransom demand? Should we open negotiations?" Frank looked at her with cold eyes. "We don't negotiate with pirates. We never have, and we never will. Now move." 10 minutes later, the war room was full. Ryan Mitchell entered first, a lean man in his 40s with the calm confidence of someone who had fought in a dozen campaigns. Behind him came Lieutenant Amy Carson, his tactical officer, and Sergeant Paul Green, commander of the 1st Marine Battalion. Frank didn't waste time with pleasantries. Situation: 200 of our people are being held in the Void Nebula by a pirate named Krell. He wants money and safe passage. He has 5 days to get an answer. "He's not getting either," Ryan said flatly. "No, he's not," Frank agreed. "Amy, what do we have in that sector?" Amy brought up a star map on the main screen. "The Vengeance is 3 days away, currently on patrol. We can have 2 more destroyers there in 4 days. The Lincoln and the Washington. What about Marines? Frank asked. Paul stepped forward. 1st Battalion is combat ready. 200 Marines, full equipment. We can deploy in 6 hours. Frank studied the map. The Void Nebula was a dangerous place, full of radiation and sensor interference. It was perfect for hiding, which was exactly why pirates used it. Ryan, I'm putting you in command of this operation. Take the Vengeance and whatever else you need. Your mission is simple. Get our people back alive and eliminate this threat permanently. Understood, sir, Ryan said. Rules of engagement. Frank's expression was hard as stone. Anyone who participated in this kidnapping is a hostile target. No exceptions, no mercy. Make an example that the whole galaxy will remember. What about the ransom demand? Amy asked. Should we respond at all? Send a single message, Frank said. Tell them to release the hostages immediately. Nothing else. And when they refuse? Frank smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Then we show them why you don't take human prisoners. Within 2 hours, the Vengeance was underway. The warship was a beast of metal and weapons, designed for one purpose, to bring overwhelming force to any battle. Its crew of 300 worked with practiced efficiency, preparing for combat. Ryan stood on the bridge, watching the stars stretch into lines as they entered hyperspace. Amy worked at her station, analyzing every piece of data they had on the pirate base. The nebula will hide us until we're close, Amy said. But it will also hide them. We won't know their exact positions until we're almost on top of them. That works both ways, Ryan replied. They won't see us coming either. Behind them, the Lincoln and the Washington followed, their engines burning bright as they raced to catch up. In the troop bay, Paul Green briefed his Marines. They gathered around him in their combat armor, weapons checked and ready. Listen up, Paul said, his voice carrying across the bay. 200 civilians are being held by pirates in a fortified base. Our job is to get them out alive. The pirates don't get that choice. A young Marine raised his hand. Sir, what if they try to surrender? Paul looked at him with cold eyes. They gave up that right when they took our people. Earth Defense Force policy is clear. We don't negotiate with hostage-takers, and we don't accept their surrender. They made their choice. We're making ours. The Marines nodded. They had all trained for this. They all knew what it meant to be human in a galaxy full of predators. You protected your own, no matter the cost. Eric Stone, the demolitions expert, checked his equipment. He was a broad-shouldered man with careful hands and a talent for making things explode. How much explosive are we authorized to use? He asked. All of it, Paul replied. When we're done, I want that base to be a debris field. A warning to every pirate in the sector. Kate Williams, the team medic, prepared her supplies. She was a quiet woman with gentle eyes, but she had seen more combat than most soldiers twice her age. What's the estimated condition of the hostages? Unknown, Paul said. Assume they're hurt, scared, and cold. Get them stable and get them to the extraction point. Everything else is secondary. 3 days later, the Vengeance emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Void Nebula. The sensors showed nothing but radiation and gas clouds. Somewhere in that darkness was Krell's base and 200 human prisoners. Ryan sat in his command chair and opened a communication channel. He sent a single message on all frequencies, direct and clear. This is Captain Ryan Mitchell of the Earth Defense Force to the pirate vessel holding human civilians. You have one chance. Release them now, and we will consider letting some of you live. In his command center, Krell received the message. He laughed and turned to his crew. They're trying to scare us. These humans think they can threaten me in my own territory. He opened a video channel and dragged one of the colonists into view. It was an older man, a farmer who had been heading to the new colony with his wife. Krell put a gun to the man's head. This is what I think of your threats, human, Krell said into the camera. He pulled the trigger. On the Vengeance, Ryan watched the execution on his screen. His face didn't change, but his hands gripped the armrests of his chair so hard they creaked. Amy, he said quietly, Find me that base. Already working on it, sir. Ryan opened a fleet-wide channel. All ships, combat stations. Paul, get your Marines ready. When we find them, I want total destruction. No survivors among the pirates. No mercy. No hesitation. Throughout the ship, soldiers moved to their positions. Weapons powered up. Engines burned hotter. The Marines loaded into their drop pods, ready to launch. Amy looked up from her console, her face pale but determined. Sir, I have the base location. Range, 200,000 kilometers. They're trying to hide in the densest part of the nebula. Ryan stood up. Helm, plot an intercept course. Weapons, arm all missile batteries. Communications, send a message to Earth. We have found them. Operation begins now. The Vengeance and its sister ships moved silently through the nebula, their sensors cutting through the interference, their weapons locked on target. Inside, 200 Marines prepared to drop into hell itself to bring their people home. Krell had made his choice. Now the humans would make theirs, and the galaxy would learn a lesson it would never forget. The Vengeance cut through the void nebula like a knife through darkness. Its sensors painted a picture of Krell's base, a converted asteroid bristling with weapons and shields. 6 pirate cruisers floated nearby, confident in their hidden position. Ryan stood on the bridge, watching the tactical display. Amy worked beside him, marking targets with cold efficiency. They have point defense systems here, and here, Amy said, highlighting the weapons emplacements. Shield generators on the north and south poles. Estimated crew, 800 pirates, plus our 200 civilians. Can you get me a firing solution that won't hit the civilian areas? Ryan asked. Yes, sir. Their holding cells are deep in the asteroid. Our missiles can take out the exterior defenses without touching that section. Paul, are you ready? Ryan spoke into the comm. In the drop bay, Paul Green checked his rifle one last time. Around him, 200 Marines stood in their pods, armored and armed. Ready, sir. Just give us a hole to jump through. On the asteroid base, Krell sat in his command center, unaware of the 3 warships approaching through the nebula. His crew relaxed at their stations, playing games and drinking. Why worry? No one could find them here. Then the alarms screamed. Multiple contacts, a pirate shouted, panic in his voice. 3 large vessels, military grade. They're right on top of us. Krell jumped to his feet. What? How did they get so close? Return fire. Launch all fighters. But it was already too late. The Vengeance fired first. Missiles streaked through space, dozens of them, each one locked on a specific target. They hit the pirate cruisers with devastating precision. The first ship exploded instantly. The second lost its engines and went spinning into the nebula. The third managed to raise shields, but a second salvo tore them apart. The Lincoln and the Washington opened fire on the asteroid itself. Their railguns hammered the surface installations, turning weapons emplacements into clouds of debris. Explosions rippled across the rock as shield generators overloaded and died. Launch drop pods, Ryan ordered. 200 pods shot from the Vengeance like bullets. They cut through the chaos of battle, protected by their own shields and the covering fire from the warships. Inside each pod, a Marine held tight as the pod spun and accelerated toward the asteroid. Paul's pod hit first. The impact drove the breath from his lungs, but his armor absorbed most of the shock. The pod door blew outward with explosive charges, and he rolled out with his rifle up. They had landed in a docking bay. Pirates scrambled for weapons, shocked by the sudden assault. Paul didn't give them time to organize. His rifle barked, and 3 pirates fell. Around him, more pods crashed down, and Marines poured out like an avenging flood. Team Alpha, secure this bay, Paul shouted over the comm. Team Bravo, with me. We're going to the holding cells. The battle inside the base was brutal and fast. The pirates outnumbered the Marines 4-1, but they had never faced soldiers like this. The Marines moved with precision, covering each other, clearing rooms with ruthless efficiency. Every pirate who raised a weapon died. Eric Stone ran with the advance team, his heavy pack bouncing on his back. They reached a blast door that blocked the path to the lower levels. Eric pushed forward and placed charges on the hinges. "Clear!" he shouted. The explosion was precise and controlled. The door fell inward with a crash. Marines poured through, their rifles lighting up the darkness with muzzle flashes. In the holding cells, Lisa heard the explosions. The colonists huddled together, terrified by the sounds of battle above them. Danny held his aunt's hand tight. "What's happening?" a woman asked, her voice shaking. Lisa listened to the rhythm of the gunfire, the pattern of the explosions. She had been a soldier once, before she became an administrator. She recognized military tactics when she heard them. "They're here," she said, her voice filled with hope. "The Marines are here." A pirate burst into the cell area, his eyes wild with panic. He grabbed a child, a little girl no more than 6 years old, and held a gun to her head. "Stay back or I'll kill her." The little girl screamed. Her mother tried to run forward, but other pirates held her back. Then a shadow moved in the doorway. Jack Morrison stepped into the light, his old jacket covered in dust, a pistol in his hand. He had infiltrated the base hours before the assault, using old contacts and knowledge from his mercenary days. "Let her go," Jack said calmly. The pirate turned the gun toward Jack. He never got the chance to fire. Jack's pistol barked once, and the pirate fell with a hole between his eyes. Jack caught the little girl before she hit the ground and handed her to her mother. "Stay down," Jack told the colonists. "The cavalry is here, but it's going to get loud." Seconds later, Paul and his team burst through the entrance. They saw Jack standing there, weapon in hand, and the dead pirate on the floor. "Who are you?" Paul demanded, his rifle trained on Jack. Jack slowly lowered his pistol. "Morrison. I used to work with the EDF. When I heard about the hostages, I came ahead." Paul lowered his rifle. He recognized the name. Jack Morrison was a legend, a soldier who had retired but never really stopped fighting. "Help us get these people out." Kate Williams pushed through the Marines, her medical bag ready. She started checking the colonists, treating injuries, distributing blankets. "You're safe now," she told them. "We're getting you home." Above them, the battle raged. Krell tried to organize a defense, but his forces were scattered and demoralized. The human warships had destroyed half his fleet in the first 5 minutes. The Marines were cutting through his base like a hot knife through butter. Krell made it to his personal shuttle, determined to escape. He blasted out of the asteroid, engines screaming. For a moment, he thought he might make it. Then the Vengeance moved to intercept him. The warship was massive compared to his shuttle, blocking out the stars. Ryan's voice came over the comm, cold and final. "Krell, this is Captain Ryan Mitchell. You made a mistake when you took our people. Now you answer for it." Krell's shuttle tried to turn, tried to run, but it was too slow. A single railgun shot from the Vengeance turned it into an expanding cloud of gas and debris. Back in the base, Paul led the colonists toward the extraction point. Marines formed a protective wall around them, fighting off the remaining pirates. Eric Stone moved through the base, placing charges on critical structures. "Everyone out," Eric said over the comm. "This place goes up in 5 minutes." The Marines carried wounded colonists. They protected the children. They moved with speed and purpose, getting everyone to the landing bay where transport ships waited. Lisa helped an elderly man up the ramp. She turned and saw the base, saw the fires and the destruction. She saw the Marines, these soldiers who had come so far to save people they didn't even know. Danny stood beside her. "Aunt Lisa, we're really going home?" She hugged him tight. "Yes. We're going home." The transport ships lifted off just as Eric's charges detonated. The asteroid base exploded from within, a chain reaction of destruction that tore it apart. Weapons, ships, supplies, everything Krell had built over years of piracy turned into rubble and fire. On the Vengeance, Ryan watched the base die. Amy stood beside him, her hand steady on her console. "All hostages recovered," she reported. 200 civilians, safe and accounted for. Marine casualties, 3 wounded, none critical. "And the pirates?" "None survived, sir. We're detecting no escape pods, no distress signals." Ryan nodded. "Good. Send a message to Earth. Mission accomplished." All civilians safe. Threat eliminated. He opened another channel, broadcasting on all frequencies, knowing that other pirates would hear it. This is the Earth Defense Force. We do not negotiate with those who take our people. We do not accept surrender from those who harm our civilians. This is what happens when you make humans angry. Remember this day. Remember this lesson. Touch our people, and we will find you. We will come for you. And we will show no mercy. The message echoed across the sector, bouncing from relay to relay, until every pirate, every criminal, every would-be kidnapper heard it. In the transport ship, Lisa held the little girl who had almost died. The child was asleep now, safe in her arms. Kate Williams had checked her over and found her unhurt. Paul walked through the ship, checking on the colonists. When he reached Lisa, he stopped. "Ma'am, I'm sorry we didn't get here sooner." Lisa looked up at him, tears in her eyes. "You came. That's what matters. You all came for us." Paul nodded. "That's what we do. We protect our own." As the fleet set course for Earth, the void nebula burned behind them, a funeral pyre for those who had learned too late that humans were not prey. They were protectors, warriors, and when their people were threatened, they became the most terrifying force in the galaxy. 2 weeks after the rescue, Jack Morrison walked back into the bar on Caldrose Station. The place looked the same as always: dim lights, thick smoke, and the smell of alien alcohol. Vex Thora stood behind the bar, wiping glasses with her 4 arms. She saw Jack and clicked her mandibles in greeting. "You returned. I wasn't sure you would." Jack sat at his usual spot. "I always come back." Vex Thora poured him a drink without asking what he wanted. She always knew. "I heard about what happened in the Void Nebula." The whole sector heard. "Good," Jack said simply, taking a sip. That was the point. The news had spread fast. Krell's entire organization, built over 15 years, destroyed in less than a week. The Earth Defense Force hadn't stopped with the base. They had tracked down every ship, every outpost, every pirate who had worked for Krell. 12 systems, 50 locations, all hit simultaneously. It was methodical. It was thorough. It was terrifying. "They say over 2,000 pirates died," Vex Thora said quietly. "They shouldn't have taken human prisoners," Jack replied. On Earth, the 200 colonists from the horizon's edge had returned home. Medical teams checked everyone. Counselors helped with the trauma. The government promised they could still go to their colony once a new ship was ready, with a military escort this time. Lisa Bennett stood in the Colonial Council chambers, addressing the leadership. Her throat still bore faint bruises from where Krell had grabbed her. Danny stood in the back of the room, watching his aunt with pride. "I want to thank everyone who came for us," Lisa said, her voice clear and strong. "We were taken by people who thought humans were weak. They thought we would be easy victims. They were wrong." The council members nodded. The chairman, an older man named Gregory Stevens, stood up. "Ms. Bennett, we owe you and all the colonists an apology. We should have provided better protection." "No apology needed," Lisa said. "What matters is that when we called for help, it came. The Marines, the fleet, even a lone mercenary who infiltrated the base on his own. They all came because that's what humans do. We protect each other." In the military hospital, the 3 wounded Marines from the assault were recovering. Paul Green visited them every day. They had taken shrapnel and burns, but they would all return to duty soon. One of them, a young woman named Helen Cruz, asked Paul a question that had been bothering her. "Sergeant, we killed so many pirates. Hundreds of them. Does that make us like them?" Paul sat on the edge of her bed. "No. They chose to harm innocent people. They chose to take hostages and make threats. We chose to protect our own. There's a difference between murder and justice." "The galaxy thinks we're scary now," Helen said. "Good," Paul replied. "Fear keeps our people safe. If pirates are too scared to attack human ships, then we've saved lives. That's our job." At Earth Defense Force headquarters, Admiral Frank Cooper reviewed the mission reports. The operation had been flawless. Every objective achieved, all hostages safe, threat eliminated. He signed off on commendations for Ryan, Paul, and their teams. His assistant, a young officer named Peter Walsh, brought him the latest intelligence reports. "Sir, we're seeing a significant change in pirate activity near human territories. Attacks are down 70% in the last 2 weeks." Frank allowed himself a small smile. "They're learning." "There's something else," Peter continued. "Several alien governments have sent official communications. They want to know if we plan to use this level of force in other situations." "What did you tell them?" "That we will protect our citizens by any means necessary." "Always." Frank nodded. "That's the right answer." Back on Caldro Station, the bar started to fill with the evening crowd. Aliens from a dozen species came in for drinks and conversation. Vexthora noticed that many of them gave Jack a wide berth, careful not to sit too close or make eye contact. A group of new mercenaries entered, young and confident. They were Draken warriors, tall reptilian beings known for their combat skills. They talked loudly about a potential job raiding human cargo ships near the frontier. The bar went quiet. Everyone turned to look at them. One of the older patrons, a scarred alien who had been around for decades, stood up and walked over to the Drakens. "You're new here," he said. "So let me give you some advice. See that human at the bar?" He pointed at Jack. "See that symbol on his jacket?" The Drakens looked. Jack's jacket bore an old, faded patch, Earth Defense Force, Special Operations. "That's a human soldier," the old alien continued. "And you just talked about raiding human ships in front of him. I suggest you reconsider your career plans." The lead Draken puffed up his chest. "We fear no one. Humans are just another species." The old alien laughed, but it was not a happy sound. 3 weeks ago, a pirate named Krell said the same thing. His organization was the biggest in the sector. 2,000 ships, fortified bases, connections everywhere. The humans erased him from existence in 1 week. They didn't negotiate. They didn't accept surrender. They hunted down every single one of his people across 12 systems and killed them all. The Drakens shifted uncomfortably. "Humans have a saying," the old alien said. "Don't start none, won't be none. You leave them alone, they leave you alone. But you touch one of their people, and they will bring hell itself down on your head." The Drakens looked at each other, then at Jack, then back at their leader. Without another word, they turned and left the bar. Vexthora clicked her mandibles in approval. The young ones need to learn. Jack finished his drink. Some learn faster than others. A screen on the wall showed Galactic News. The anchor, a floating jellyfish-like creature, was discussing the Void Nebula incident. Video footage showed the remains of Krell's base, now just a debris field drifting in space. "The human response has shocked the galactic community," the anchor said. "Many are calling it excessive. The humans eliminated an entire criminal organization over the capture of 200 civilians." Another anchor, a being made of living crystal, responded. "But the strategy is clear. The humans are sending a message. They will protect their people at any cost. Since the incident, pirate attacks on human targets have dropped to nearly zero. Some alien rights groups are calling for sanctions against Earth," the first anchor said. "And Earth's response?" the crystal being asked. The screen showed Admiral Frank Cooper giving a press conference. His face was stern, his voice unwavering. "We will not apologize for defending our people. We will not accept criticism from those who would prefer we let our citizens be victimized. Our policy is clear and will not change: harm a human and face the full weight of our military response. This is not a threat. This is a promise." The bar erupted in chatter. Some aliens were scared. Some were impressed. All of them were talking about the same thing: humans were not to be trifled with. Jack stood up and left credits on the bar, extra as always. Vexthora picked them up and saw that he had left something else. Another coin, this one newly minted. It bore the image of the Vengeance with words underneath: "We protect our own." "Will the violence stop now?" Vexthora asked. "Or will this start a war?" Jack looked back at her from the doorway. "It will stop. Fear is a powerful teacher. The galaxy will learn to leave humans alone, or they'll learn the hard way like Krell did." "And if they choose war?" Jack's smile was cold. Then they'll learn why the most terrifying thing in the galaxy is an angry human. He walked out into the station corridor. Around him, aliens moved about their business, but they gave him space. Some nodded respectfully. Others looked away, unwilling to meet his eyes. High above the station, the Vengeance patrolled the sector. Ryan Mitchell stood on the bridge, watching the stars. Amy worked at her station, monitoring communications. The ship was ready, always ready, to protect human lives wherever they might be threatened. On Earth, Lisa Bennett received a message. The Colonial Authority had approved a new colony ship. It would be called the Horizon's Hope, and it would carry the same 200 colonists to their new home. This time, it would have an armed escort, 2 destroyers and a company of Marines. Danny read the message over her shoulder. "We're really going," Lisa confirmed. "And this time we'll be safe. Because of what happened." Lisa touched her bruised throat, remembering Krell's grip, remembering the cold fear in the holding cell. Then she remembered the Marines bursting through the door, remembered Paul Green's determined face, remembered Kate Williams treating the wounded with gentle hands. "Because humans protect each other," she said. "That's who we are. That's what we do. And everyone in the galaxy knows it now." In 1,000 bars across the sector, the story spread. In pirate dens and mercenary outposts, in corporate boardrooms and government chambers, the message was received and understood. Humans were not prey. They were not victims. They were protectors, warriors, and friends to those who treated them fairly. But harm one of them, take one of them prisoner, threaten one of their children, and you would face a response so overwhelming, so complete, that it would echo through the stars as a warning to all who might follow. The galaxy had learned its lesson. The most terrifying alien in the cosmos was not the one with the biggest weapons or the strongest armor or the sharpest teeth. It was the human who had just received word that their people were in danger. And heaven help anyone who made that human angry.